Hello, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to be here to have a discussion regarding something that's really been troubling the world, which is really the coronavirus. It is with great pleasure that I welcome as my guests today Dr. Edward Usifo Asikhia, who is based here in the United States, actually lives in New Jersey. But he's an African, born and raised in Nigeria, and he was trained as a medical doctor at the prestigious University of Ibadan in Nigeria. Currently, he works here in the United States, where he's a doctoral level board certified behavioral analyst. In addition to being a physician, he's also a psychiatrist. That's just for people who like to make distinctions between those. And he's also the clinical director of International Training Center for Applied Behavioral Analysis in Nigeria, and also of HomeLink International. Dr. Asikhia, it's always a pleasure for me to speak with you, but these are not really great circumstances. Even then, I welcome you.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Segun Fatuase, who is a man that is very accomplished in the field of journalism. He first cut his teeth as a journalist working for Punch in Nigeria after graduating from the University of Ife in Nigeria, in Ile-Ife, Nigeria. And since then, he has continued to practice as a journalist, and he's a biographer, a content creator, and also currently editor of the newsstuff.com in Nigeria. And he is joining us today from Lagos, Nigeria. Mr. Fatuase, welcome.
Good afternoon from here.
And good morning from here. So it is my expectation that you are going to be talking to us about what is happening in Nigeria right now, because you're right there on the ground. Yeah. And I realized that Dr. Joe Unufegan has just joined us from Toronto, Canada. Because I did invite a few people to join, and Dr. Unufegan probably thinks that he's just going to be watching us and that we can see him, but we not only see him, we also expect him to participate verbally. Because his doctorate is actually in the area of international development, and what is actually plaguing the world right now, the coronavirus, has some significance to his area of expertise. Dr. Unufegan, can you hear me? I think he's just really watching. So, Dr. Asikhia, I'll go to you first. This is COVID-19, which is really the name for the current coronavirus that is really affecting the entire world for some reason. So my question to you is just the very basic one. What is the coronavirus?
Coronavirus is a viral disease that is transmitted through droplets when you sneeze. And right now, it's really a reality. And I'm a little bit intrigued and concerned about the way people react to it, particularly the black race, Nigerians in particular. The truth of the matter is that coronavirus is real. Like I said, it is a killer disease. No person is immune to it. It does not know color, black or white. And neither does it respect where you live. Whether you live in America or in Africa, you are susceptible to having it. And the point is this, it is still spreading. We need to know that. They want to let you know.
Thank you very much for that. Now I see Dr. Unufegan. Can you hear us, Dr. Unufegan? Apparently, he's just minding his own business. Segun, you have heard what Dr. Asikhia said. According to him, we should all be concerned because he does not know race, he does not know ethnicity, he doesn't know national boundaries. It can just afflict anyone, regardless of where they live. So my question to you is, are people in Nigeria concerned right now about the coronavirus?
Are you talking to Segun?
Yes.
Yeah, because the line is breaking intermittently, so I'm just reading your lips. Coronavirus in Nigeria, I'm sorry, it still remains a kind of morbid joke here. I will take you back to when this incident of Ebola, that was in 2014, if my figure is correct. And then was that no matter what happens, people, that is Nigerians, are so resilient, they are long suffering, and that whatever happens, no matter the depth of the disease, it will not really affect us. Interestingly, Nigeria was able to survive Ebola, even without a viable template. So it is the same attitude that is being taken right now with this coronavirus problem. They say it's pandemic. Things like Lassa fever or any other disease, cholera that we have in Nigeria, that it will pass away, just like a storm that it will pass away. So you will not believe that Nigerians, to a large extent, they are resorting to spiritual for a disease that needs to be addressed frontally. And that goes to show the kind of attitude that we have. That is, I'm talking of the citizens now, that coronavirus, just like Ebola, will come and go if only we learn to pray. So basically, it's not being addressed the way it should be. So I will move to the part of the government that is the kind of laxity that is always associated with serious issues like this. If United States, the United Kingdom, and many countries outside this continent, if they are really panicking and taking measures, I will want to look at it from this end that Nigeria is not really at par with any effort. There's no deliberate government policy or leadership commitment, so to speak, about how to address this problem. What we have are basically figures, rising figures, frightening figures of the number of cases, index cases, and all these other cases of those who have already contracted this disease, either in here or it was brought here. So far, before this program started, I just got some information that 22 cases have so far been confirmed in Nigeria alone, with the majority, the larger figure, from Lagos. That's the commercial capital of Nigeria. And Abuja, the main capital, is running second. So basically, there is no concerted plan for any mass enlightenment program as to how to educate people on what to look for, the symptoms, or how to prevent such a thing. The only thing that has been like a concerted effort, which is not good enough, if you ask me as a journalist, is the address by the Lagos State Governor yesterday, just explaining what government has been doing in terms of providing facilities and all this and all that. But basically, coronavirus has been with us for quite a while. But it is only on February 27, 2020, that the first detected case that's in Lagos was made public.
Right. So that, Thanks for saying all of that, Mr. Fatuase. So, Dr. Asikhia, I think that that actually buttresses your point that we need to be concerned, we need to be careful, we need to, I think, take precautions. And also that we need to not think that it cannot, there's a place the coronavirus cannot get to. So I just want to ask you as a doctor, what are the symptoms of COVID-19? What should people be aware of? And when should people seek help?
Thank you. I want to address this issue as a medical doctor and also as a behavior analyst, because this disease is all about human behavior, the way we behave. Let's start from there. I want to take it systematically. There's what we call antecedent event. That's what happens before someone contracts this illness. First is contracted through touch, like I said, droplets when someone sneezes and when someone rubs his eyes with the hands that have been infected. That is antecedent, that an event that happened before this illness. Then the response, that's what you're asking me now about the signs and symptoms. Simply put, coughing is one of them. Fever is another one. Shortness of breath. There are three critical things you have to have in mind when you're sneezing. In Nigeria, we call it common catarrh. But this moment right now, there's another strain of virus that is there that is causing the catarrh. So you got to be suspicious. Then the next thing I'd like to mention is that who at risk factor? Who are those at risk? One, old age is a common factor. If you are 60, 65 above, you are at risk. Not because of you are old, because you already have a compromised body immunity. You are aging. The hormones are not there as it used to be when you were 30 years old. Then if you have underlying medical condition, like liver disease, cancer, or you are on anti-cancer medication, your immunity will be compromised. Then thirdly, if you live in a crowded place or a crowded environment, or mixing up, you wouldn't know exactly when you are going to have contact with someone who is having this illness that has not manifested. Maybe that person is under incubation period. These are some of those you need to look out for. Then I also figure out what are the consequences. If I say consequences, it's not slapping. How are you going to react to it when you have these symptoms? Number one, stay at home, take a rest. Number two, monitor your symptoms. Then if you have to go to the hospital and you feel that you have some suspicion that you could have, let the taxi driver know. We don't have ambulance out there. All your people know. Cover your mouth when you sneeze. And most importantly, government will not provide you with this. Wash your hand. You can wash your hand as many times as possible. Then we talk about sanitizing your hand. How many Nigerians will be able to buy the cream? Difficult. But at home, if you wash your hand, you feel that you have your stove, another, put your hand on top of it a little bit, let the temperature rise, because the virus do not survive with high temperature. The head of state cannot provide you with that. It's something you can do on your own, at your own level. Then avoid personal items sharing when you know that you are sneezing. and clean your surface. Now, cleaning surface sanitizer, you don't have it, then you can use alcohol-based item, alcohol, what they call ogogoro in Nigeria. But my fear is this now. If you say use alcohol, so we'll start drinking alcohol. But it is a ticking time bomb. You use alcohol-based item to wipe your hand. You may not necessarily be able to have this sanitizer. These are some of those key things I would like to highlight before I make my appeal to what should be done at national level.
Right. Let me stop you there, Dr. Asikhia, just to make sure that people can digest everything that you just said, because those are not real heavy things. They don't require us to do too much. Basic wash your hands, basic, just take a rest and don't be out walking around and when you don't need to. Those are very basic things to do.
Yeah.
But when I also consider what Mr. Fatuase has told us about what appears to be the level of acceptance or denial that he is observing in Nigeria when it comes to this illness. And then I'm looking at this article that probably you can see on your screen. Mr. Fatuase, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it. Taking time bomb.
Right. Does that make any sense to you being in Nigeria? And also from wherever you stop, I'd like Dr. Asikhia to take over. And Dr. Unufegan, are you hearing us now? I think he's still unable to hear us because he's having some problems with his audio, he said. Yeah, but what I'd like to hear from you, Mr. Fatuase, is this. Do you think that the people back there where you are see the coronavirus as a ticking time bomb that could spread across Africa? Or do you think that there are cultural and social factors that is preventing them from getting that message? And then after that, I want to hear from Dr. Asikhia if you think that Africans actually need to be worried or concerned. First to you, Mr. Fatuase.
I don't think there's a cultural problem there. All I see is an issue of personal hygiene, basically. Washing of hands, covering your mouth while sneezing and all those are issues of personal hygiene. But unfortunately, you find out that in public places, you still have to correct so many people on how to behave when it comes to sneezing and issues of personal hygiene. Sneezing in public without really paying attention to those sitting close to you. And we should not forget one fact that we are always in crowded places here, either in the commercial buses, in the marketplace, in the churches, or even the workplace. So it raises the issue and raises the fear that if we really have this coronavirus here with us already, it's going to spread in a way that it will, a ticking time bomb will be like a child's play. The fear basically is that we already have it. So in trying to look out for those who have the symptoms, that becomes another challenge. Nobody wants to step forward to say, I need Medicare because I'm sneezing, because I'm coughing. Nobody. So you find a situation where medical personnel have to now go around, which is an unfortunate development, trying to trace people who were with somebody who had already shown symptoms of this before. It is that bad. There is no concerted effort at mass enlightenment, like I said before. So it is either you know it on a personal level, or you are just flowing from one place to the other, carrying the disease without really knowing until it is too late.
So, Dr. Unufegan.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the mix-up. I had this technical glitch. You know, those of us from old school, this computer thing has a way of telling us that we have to retrain. So it's nice to hear from you guys and to see you guys.
Good
Right.
morning.
As I was saying before,
Yeah.
Dr. Asikhia, I'm going to put you on hold now for a little while and go to Dr. Unufegan. As I was saying to everyone when you were not hearing me, your doctorate is in international development. And if you look at the article that I just put up from Science magazines, just from a week ago, less than a week ago, from 6 days ago, it said that the coronavirus, scientists are concerned that it could be a ticking time bomb for Africa. And one of the things that we know is that in just 10 days, when the first case was diagnosed in South Africa, in just 10 days, the numbers rose to 61. And I am sure that if you go across Africa, the story may not be that different if we are actually going to be honest. So my question to you, as someone whose expertise is in international development, is it possible that there are some things that we should be looking at from your perspective that could be obstacles to our people, our African people, accepting this as something real? And are there obstacles that could also make it very difficult for people to be actually cared for when they're diagnosed with this disease?
Thank you for your question. I think that as far as Africa is concerned, the symptoms that come into play before people are really asked to go for testing and all of those things are something that look very normal for the African. For example, coughing, fever, and some of those things. If you meet an average African, that doesn't seem to look like it's serious. And my fear is that even before this, if that's what they call it now because it's widespread, the medical system, the capacity was already epileptic. You know, what we have that we can call the medical system was not something that was very vibrant. So when this add up to that, you can imagine where we are going into. As advanced as Italy is, as advanced as United States is, medically, as advanced as even Canada is, they are, in terms of their medical system, they are all struggling to cope with this pandemic. So what do you say to a country like Nigeria, where even when people have headache, they go for medical pilgrimage abroad, they go to India. So and another thing is, look at our culture. The things that are being asked to be done right now, like social distancing, it's not really part of our culture. And to add to the fact that even when you go to the churches, as we speak, most churches still want to hold services because that's where they are going to get their tithe anyway. So it doesn't really matter if it's going to be dangerous. So the culture does not help us at all in terms of how to prevent this from community spread, because that's where it is going to be very difficult. You can control the people that come in. Maybe you test them, if at all we have the enough testing kits at the airport. But what about when it gets to the community, those who didn't travel and they didn't know, and it's just going to be spreading? That's where, when people say that it's a
Time bomb.
In the time bomb, you can exactly see where they are coming from, because the medical system is not ready, the culture is not ready, The pastors will play it down, making it look like it is an attempt to just spread something that is not real. And then they will let you know that the best way to handle it is to pray over it. That's where the fear is, because right now, even in Canada, church services have been suspended. But whereas in Nigeria, church services is where they hope that they will pray over this virus, bringing it together. So it's going to spread, and I'm really worried. And from the international point of view, where other countries are trying to put things in place to stem it, but we are not doing enough. And finally, let me quickly add too that right now in Canada, I work from home. That is because the technology is ready for that, for people to be able to function from the comfort of their home, what they should do in the offices. How can you encourage, how is that going to be possible in a country like Nigeria, where even the head of department of in a university may not even have enough technology to operate or teach his programs from home or something like that. So it's going to be very difficult. Let me just stop there at this point.
Right. So, Dr. Asikhia, I will leave it up to you to give us the final words.
Okay.
What you have on the screen emphasizes what Dr. Unufegan has just said. This is where we are, where the world is at right now, this very minute. This is the rate of infections around the world. So we see that right now around the world, there are confirmed cases that number 286,816. And then the total number of deaths are just about 12,000 right now that have died around the world. And if you go down here, you see from the various countries, and you see that there are African countries there. There is Ghana, there is Cote d'Ivoire, there is Ethiopia, and Nigeria is there somewhere. All of the countries where people have been, that's Nigeria right there, 22 cases as of now. So I'd just like you to give us your final word. What should we be concerned? And
we should be concerned. I know quite okay that we have a problem in Nigeria. I practice there. And the idea that we got to wait for the head of state or the federal government is not the best approach right now. Let me just outline what should be done, should be tried. One, regular hand washing. You don't need the head of state to come and ask you to wash your hand. Two, use alcohol-based sanitizer when you do that. And when you don't have the money to buy, put your hand on kind of top of fire or a burner to raise the temperature of your hand. Three, inhalation of hot water, steam. In the morning, get just a cup of water hot, put it close to your nose, inhale it for about 5 minutes, then you throw it away. Then in the evening, you do the same thing. This again, you don't need the head of state or the governor to help you to do that. Then 4, the use of mask. I know that people cannot go and buy mask, the one that they go up, but you can use ordinary handkerchief. You fold it into a rectangle. Then you have just a stapler to staple the what do you call it now? The rubber, the simple rubber for you use in the office into what different area. Just cut it, stick it at the front end like that. You can use that to cover your nose. You don't need the one that is brought from America. You can do this. And 4, chloroquine is there. You must take chloroquine prophylactic. And 5, raising of awareness. This is where my able journalists come on. The use of, for example, the amount of money they donate to churches every Sunday is so huge. I don't see any reason why those mega churches cannot get chloroquine available to their members. They can help. They can also help them to have handkerchief. If you don't have handkerchief, get a piece of cloth. You can sew it. If you are waiting for the one that will come from Japan or UK, you're wasting your time. And also, the media can also help us in giving this publicity. Those simple things you can do. You got to take life back on your own, not waiting for the governor. Things you can do in the house, and somewhere along the line, even if you use the mask which you made on your own in the morning, put an iron on top of it, just wash it. We have about 2 or 3. So that is what you can fight with. And also the so-called National Orientation Agency can also be involved to give mass publicity. And schools, because those are the entry gate. Children that are going to school, they keep announcing this thing every time. And like Lagos said, they have a last man. They can afford to stop you when they said that your vehicle has some problem, but it's not well inflated. Why can't they stop people to remind people that where is your mask? Where is your mask? By the time we'll do that, and we'll make sure that I'm not saying stop going to the work to work. By the time everybody gets used to covering the mouth or nose, then it will prevent the droplet from coming in, particularly when you are by someone who is sneezing. Get my point now? So that was if you touch your eyes, there's a tear gland there, there's a connection between the eye and the nose. It goes down there, and this is where it stays. But when you raise the temperature, if you inhale just ordinary water, steam, morning, twice a day, you raise the temperature in that area within about 5 minutes, it will inactivate that virus. So these are some of the local things we can do, but the publicity is important. The churches are there to tell their congregation. Then also the churches have to make sure that at least they suspend. If you say suspend service, they will say, oh, you have robbed them of their tithe. I saw a pastor that said he's going to China to go and destroy coronavirus there. We saw also the picture of what came back. Overcrowding makes it very much possible. That is a certain event that can cause it right away. Because there's no way, if someone sneezes by you and you didn't have any to protect, then that you will not inhale it. Once it goes, it goes. But if you still have a piece of cloth, handkerchief, there's no person who doesn't have a handkerchief. But everybody will want to have that mask that is from America, from India, from UK. I think we should be able to tailor our intervention to the resources that are applicable in our community, given the cost as well, the cost involvement. So these are some of these again. Regular hand washing, you can do that as much as possible. Inhalation of steam, sanitizing your hand with alcohol-based item, then chloroquine, take prophylactic chloroquine right away, raising awareness, and also using any cloth, any piece of cloth as mask. You can do that on your own. Now, I'm not asking government to stay away. Government can do what they are supposed to do. But when you are not having this government take the bull by the horn. But we know that things like leprosy in those days, once they have an established case of leprosy, they isolate that person. It's still there. Then at the local level, there's these little children's bronchial pneumonia, which we call opepe. In our dialect, once children have it, it comes up with a strain of virus. So if children go to that place, or people go, so many children will die in the community. Once a child has that illness, no one goes down there because it goes straight into the respiratory tract, and it's very mortal. I mean, it's very little. So these are some of the clinical things. You have that, wash your hand, inhale, steam twice a day, take chloroquine, get a piece of cloth, make your own mask, keep it. So that is the only thing we can hang on right now. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble.
I really want to thank you all for joining me today. to have this discussion, which really I consider to be a public service, because we are all Africans, and it is really sort of disheartening in many ways as we watch the news coming out of Africa. People telling us that the coronavirus cannot affect them. Because, as Dr. Asikhia was saying, the very first time when we started to have this discussion, that people think that because they are black or because they live in Africa or whatever, they cannot contract this virus. But that's not a fact. You have told us that as a medical doctor. It seems to me, though, that this is a discussion that we need to continue. In other words, I would like if you are chanced and do not mind obliging me for us to have this discussion again in another week or two. And you see, Dr. Unufegan, you should have known me by now that even though you were just coming on to listen, you should have known that at some point I will rope you into this conversation. But thank you very much for actually participating, even though you were not ready to do that. But I can always set you up because I have known you long enough to claim that authority for myself. But just finally, if you just have just like a word or two, just to say, just one sentence from each of you, starting with Mr. Fatuase.
So much has been said, so let me just one sentence.
Thank you. Dr. Asikhia.
My word is this: take care of yourself, Nigerians. Do not wait for the government.
Dr. Unufegan.
Thank you very much. Even though I joined very late, and like Ohiro rightly said, I was just supposed to be watching from behind, but it's okay. But I would like to quickly say that in addition to the personal hygiene, there is no need thinking that this thing is not going to come. The government actually should be preparing for the worst in case. They should try to say, okay, what if it happens? What if the community spread start? What are they going to do? It is better to start thinking about it now than to imagine that it's not going to happen. So please, the government should try to put its house in order, in addition to people doing their best to stay out of trouble.
Thank you very much to everyone. And I will be in contact with you, and especially you, Segun Fatuase, who joined us from Nigeria. You know, even though we're here and we really are having a good time, but I think that this is evidence of the fact that we are always thinking of home, because we are never that far from home. Our home is home, and what affects people there affects us. So we thank you for holding the fort, and hopefully you can join us again very soon. God bless you all.
All right. Thank you.